Hello and welcome to this quick tutorial on SECURITHOR version 2. Let's get right into it. This is the initial screen of SECURITHOR. You can see here the list of alarms. I'm starting with a first database, so we have no alarms currently in the system, but this graph would show you how many alarms you have with certain priorities, and also if some of them are pending or in follow-up. You have a small dashboard here showing you how much memory your system is currently using, how much CPU is in use, and how much SECURITHOR is using of that CPU. So let's log in. This is the login page. The default login for SECURITHOR is 1 password SECURITHOR. You can change the password from this tab, but we don't need to do that right now, so let's log in. So we are in the system. First thing you want to do once you start SECURITHOR for the first time is look at the settings. We have different settings here pertaining to schedules, pertaining to alarm settings, if you have a modem for dialing automatically when you receive alarms. You have email settings. I've already taken the liberty of filling out the email settings. Here is the template for the emails. Basically, when an email is sent out, these fields are dynamically filled. For example, the email subject will contain the alarm code, followed by the reception time, followed by the description of the alarm code. And in the email body, you'll have the reception time, the account name, and the partition number, and finally the alarm code. On the priority tab, you get to set the colors of each priority, as well as select and change the sounds related to each priority. On the miscellaneous tab, you have features to lock windows so that only SECURITHOR can run, and also feature to start ST receiver automatically when you start SECURITHOR. ST receiver is the software that communicates with the receiver so that it can transmit them to SECURITHOR. Here you have the location of the database. In most cases it will be localhost, but you have the option of connecting to a remote database within the network or within even another network. Okay, after setting up the settings for SECURITHOR, you might want to set up the city's information. By default, it comes with a city which has no useful information, but let's put in one. Currently, let's put in Montreal as a city, province, Quebec, country, Canada. We can skip the district. Let's add phone numbers related to the city of Montreal. Let's say we can add the police phone number, 911. Let's add fire department. For demo purposes, I'll just use different phone numbers. Let's say 912, and let's say ambulance 913. So here we've defined our city contacts as well as the city that will be associating to certain accounts. Next thing we want to do is perhaps set up templates for all our alarm codes. You can import alarm codes from files which are supplied with the software. So in our case, I've already imported a few, but I will import a new one. Let's say a list of contact ID alarms. Let's go to okay. Here are all default contact ID codes. Let's save this template. Contact ID default. So we have a list of contact ID codes. Now let's go into the big part, setting up of accounts. This is the account management page. I already have 3 accounts. 0 is by default already there. I created 2 already. Let's create a 3rd one. Let's say new account, account 1000, add. So we have our new account. Here we can put the account name, test account, partition name, test partition. You could have many partitions within the account, but by default, when you create an account, you have one partition created, which is partition 0. Order name, let's say MCDI, SECURITHOR, partition notes, address 7055 Bourdon Avenue. City, we created the city earlier, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We did not set any district. Postal code H4K 1G7. GPS coordinate. This is for the case where you have an alarm, you want to pinpoint the exact location of an address. Sometimes addresses are a bit inaccurate when you search them in Google Maps or Bing, so the GPS is more accurate. Let's put in a GPS coordinate, 45.525.63.5. Okay. Additional information. We can have text associated to this account, images, if we need to put floor maps or anything of that sort, and other files which are not text or images. You can put PDFs or Word documents. You can add them here. Here we have information about the installation, what kind of panel, what's the receiver information, transmitter information, and schedule notes. If you have certain messages you would like an operator to see, that's very important when they're processing an alarm. Say user is on vacation till April 14th. We will see this message pop up later when we're processing alarms. Next, let's define the contact list. Say MCDI, partition phone number, need for an extension. Here you can define emails. And you can select here if you'd like to send a report to this email address when you're generating reports, which we shall see at the very end, or if you want to share this email address with all the other accounts. Let's create some users. You can also choose to share a user with all the other accounts if this user is common to several accounts. Let's add phone numbers to this user. Cell. No extension. If we need to put other notes related to this user, we can also choose to put them here. Access information. Here you get to set passwords if you're calling your user to confirm their identity. Keypad code if they need to punch a certain keypad and certain number in their keypad, and the alarm code which should trigger which should be linked to this user. For test purposes, let's put 000. When we get a contact ID alarm which ends with 000, it should trigger this user as part of the description. For example, opening by Steve Smith. Holidays, you get to set the holidays start and end, and restricted access if you want to set this user as a restricted user for certain periods of the day or certain times of the day. Yeah. Let's go now to schedules. Here you can schedule multiple things. Periodic tests, for example, if the account needs to be tested every certain amount of time to be sure that there's still communication between the panel and the receiver. Let's create one. Periodic test. Let's activate the detection. You don't need to set the email, or you get to choose to share with other accounts as well if multiple accounts use the exact same setting. Let me put this test for every 5 minutes. Okay. Let me create, you get to create other types of schedules. Guard rounds, if there's a guard that needs to be in certain places. Arm or closing of the shop, you can set up a schedule for closing. Disarm, opening of a certain shop or facility. You can set up the code for, you can set up a schedule for that as well. Let us, let's just create one for opening. Opening schedule, let's say it opens from 8. They need to open between 8 and 9 every day. Save. So this is our schedule. Let's create an arming one. They need to close the shop between 4 and 5 every day. So this is our disarm schedule. Let's activate them both. So now we have our schedules all here. I think I did mention that you can share any schedule with other accounts that use the same schedule. Let us create alarm codes. We created a template earlier of alarm codes, so let's import that. We have our contact ID default, which we imported from files earlier. Let's put this in the account. And so we have our codes here. Let me just change this code to a different type. Say opening. So now this is an opening code. Change the description. Opening by. Okay. We can put any notes to any of these codes if needed. Here you have certain options. You can set this alarm to be processed automatically, or deleted, or processed and deleted within a week. For example, periodic tests, you can set them to be deleted after a week because it's just to test the connection between the panel and the receiver. It's not crucial to keep it after a week. Let me change this one here. Let's change it to periodic test and change the type to periodic test. So now I have two codes that I've changed. I would like to set this, link this to the periodic test, which was set for 5 minutes. And I would like to link the schedule to the disarm, which we had set up earlier. Let's just create another one for completeness. Arming, closing by, and set the schedule for our closing. On this page, you also have the option of disabling the code for a certain period of time if there's tests going on with a certain code. You can also disable the account or the partition if you have multiple partitions. Under the automatic process or delete, you have option of creating service orders. You can create a service order now, or you can have it emailed automatically when the alarm comes in. A service order is a form where you would send to someone in the field to go perform certain tasks, either check on somebody, replace a battery, things like that. So you can create service orders. Let's say test. Need to okay. While you're creating the service order, you can choose to also send it by email right away. So I created a service order. I will link a camera as well. For completeness, we will get to that in a moment. You get to attach a specific email per alarm code as well. If you want to link a specific email to the back door, for example, you can set up an attachment here. Let me jump to cameras. Let's create a camera. Currently we support all these cameras. Plus, you can also open a website or run an external file as a link when you receive alarms. Let's create a Hikvision one since we have access to that. Say test video location to port. Okay, so that is done. Let's go back to the alarms. I would like to add the camera to this and pick channel 2. So now when I get an alarm with E100, it will open up a camera feed and start recording on channel 2. This is pretty much all there is about the account management. Of course, there are small things, small tips and tricks. You can always search for certain items quickly. You can select multiple codes. In this case, we have not set any actions. Let us set a list of actions. So when we receive any of these 3 alarms, we would like the operator to first call Steve Smith, then call the MCDI headquarters, and then an ambulance. So as you can see, it's been set for those 3 alarms. You also have the option of dragging and dropping codes here and there. So we dragged this code higher up. This is only in the case where you have, let's say at the bottom here, if you had one I'm using wildcards, by the way. These characters can be replaced by anything automatically. So anything that's not 115 or 111 or 110 or these codes, it will be caught by this alarm. And everything afterwards that starts with E11 will be ignored because this alarm the alarms will be matched by this. The options below, I forgot to mention, you can also set emails for specific codes. You can also multi-select and set it for multiple emails, for multiple alarms at the same time. So let's say send it to so now whenever we receive any of these codes, an email will be sent automatically with this template that we had defined in settings regarding the code that was received. This is it for account management. Let us save all these changes that we've made. So everything has been saved. We already have one alarm. That is because we have set the auto test to show up every 5 minutes. It has already started a detection. We missed the periodic test. If we go to schedules information, here we see all the accounts that are expecting disarm or opening. All the accounts that are expecting arm and opening and their status. When was the last arrival? When's the next expected? When was the last expected? And if it was missed. Periodic test, we just missed it at 7:08. The next expected will be at 7:15, which will be in 4 minutes. And guard round, we didn't create any of that. Okay, that concludes for account management. traffic, this is basically your history of every account. You get to search for whatever you want in this account. If you want every information on account 1000, you just type it in. If you want to see only the active alarms, if you want to see only alarms with E101, or even alarms starting with E only, you have options to quickly process this alarm. If you know it's a false alarm or something, you can process it right here quickly. Or you can go to the full processing window. This was the scheduled note we had created. User is on vacation until April 14th. As you see, we got the alarm. We will return to this alarm processing window later on when I generate the alarms. Okay, let us continue with explanations. Here you have auto pickup. This allows the software to display to you alarms based on their priority automatically. Earlier you saw me grab this alarm from the traffic window. I picked it up manually, but if the auto pickup is on, and let's say we generate an alarm, sorry, this is the account, this is the alarm, E11, say 900. This alarm pops up automatically. And as we saw, combustion took the alarm because I went above the 115, which is over here. So it looked at in this order, and this alarm was the matching alarm code for this combustion. Here you see all the actions because in our settings we have show all phone numbers if there is none defined specifically. So we didn't define any for the combustion, and it's displaying to us all the possible contacts that we can call for that account. Let us process this. Okay, let us continue. As we see in the traffic, we had one more alarm that was created. That was another missed detection. Let's finish this and continue. In the traffics page, you have several information that might be useful to the user. The alarm time is, oh, we have another alarm that came in. That's another periodic test that was missed. Okay, the alarm time is the time that the alarm was generated. So let's say the time that the panel created the alarm. In this case, it's a missed detection, so it's SECURITHOR that generated it. The reception time is the time that the software received it, and the available time is the time that the software made it available for processing. And also you have the process time over here. Let's process this quickly. Okay. We have the receiver line, the origin of the alarm. SECURITHOR created these misdetections. We created a manual, the original account, the original partition of the code. Sometimes alarms can be matched with another account, so this is useful to know where it came from, and this is where it was actually matched. Matched account, matched partition. This is the code that came in, the description. Then you have other information which might not be too useful. The type, who it was assigned to, camera. We will get back to this. Here is a list of priorities that came in. Our codes were low priority, and manual is priority 11, the lowest priority. Let us generate another alarm. Let's see, I got alarm 0. When you have an alarm, you get to put it, you can put it in a pending or follow-up. Let's say let's follow it up in 15 minutes. The user said he wanted to be checked on again after 15 minutes. Save. So this alarm will return for processing in 15 minutes. Let's move this so that it's better visible. So it will return at 7:37. Or we can grab it right away and process it if we need to do that right away. When you put things in pending, there's no set time to return. So that's the difference between pending and follow-up. Over here we have the list of all our partitions and their state. These are all disarmed. All these accounts are disarmed currently. You can double click and go straight to an account.